The man with
Good evening. I'll start that again. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Esther. I serve on the board as the Vice President of Professional and Career Development. I would say welcome to the IIBA Tampa Bay chapter, where we have our weekly study group sessions that we have seen to be impactful, we have seen to be helpful to people, business analysts all over the world. This is the IIBA Tampa Bay chapter. We are a professional association like based, not necessarily based out of Florida. It's a Tampa Bay chapter, but we have members from all over the world. So the statement is if you do not have an IIBA chapter, the Tampa Bay chapter can actually be your chapter. And if you decide you also want to start another chapter, please reach out to our president, Thea Soehren. She's going to be a useful resource in that regard. But again, we would love to have you. We have amazing members, like I said, from different countries of the world, people that are interested in serving, people that are interested in the field of business analysis and are doing great. So the Tampa Bay chapter
Dr.
can be
Basman is
your chapter.
that's the Cape.
Next slide, please. And what's our vision and mission as the IIBA Tampa Bay chapter? Our goal is actually to build a thriving community of empowered business analysts. And over the course of the years, we can say that we have met that goal. We have weekly trainings. We have the BA Masterclass. We're also presently running a CBAP with the Babok test prep. We also ran the SDLC Experience workshop sometime last year. And also be on the watch out or be on the lookout because this is also going to happen this year. So if you want to know more about the events that we have weekly, like I said, we meet every week, Thursday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern time. Please check our Tampa Bay website. That's tampabay.iiba.org. Under the events section, you're going to see all the events that we have listed. You could also follow us on LinkedIn. On our YouTube channel. We also actually have a Facebook page. So you could actually follow us on all those channels. Then if you want to get useful resources, recordings of all our amazing sessions, all our weekly sessions, we have an amazing index. We call it the Bob's Amazing Index. That's at rpchurchill.com. You would see over 400 events from 2021 till date in that amazing index. You could also check our YouTube channel and you could watch some of the videos. And the truth is, we have actually received feedback from so many people talking about how the videos, the recordings, the training sessions has been really helpful in them getting their certifications or even improving their experience as business analysts. Now, the Tampa Bay chapter is filled with amazing people, people that serve, people that really have the heart for the field of business analysis. Our president, she's actually the winner of the IIBA Global Volunteer of the Year Award. That's Thea Soehren. And our VP of Marketing, Clifford Gray, he's the one person that would reach out to you if you as much as like any post on our YouTube page or sorry, on our LinkedIn page. I've had many people say, "Oh, I just liked it. It was just like harmless." And Cliff reached out to me. I'm like, "Yeah, he's doing an amazing job." Then we also have Simas, our Vice President of Membership. He's an amazing guy. You get to meet him. Sarita, our Vice President of Administration. Well, she helps to keep us in check. Then our VP of Technology, Kosi, my very good friend, by the way. He's also doing amazing. Anything technology related, you can call on him for the IIBA Tampa Bay chapter. And my super duper great friend, Alicia, she's our VP of Digital Assets and Emerging Technologies. That's also an amazing role that we have in the IIBA Tampa Bay chapter. Please, if you have questions even about any of all these roles, please reach out. And we have Rich. Rich is our VP of Finance. And our advisors, we have an amazing advisor, that's Robert Churchill. Robert is amazing. He's wonderful. He's somebody you'd love to at least have a conversation with. His wealth of knowledge is deep and vast. And we have great collaborators, Amarachi Ezidiogu. She's the CBAC cohort leader, and Olga. Olga is our director of volunteers. And if you were a part of the SDLC simulation for 2025, she was the program manager for that event, and it was successfully implemented. So these are the people there to serve you and there to help you. We are here for you. And as we all know, the Tampa Bay chapter is the proud winner of the 2025 Professional Development Award, meaning the global IIBA recognizes the fact that we deliver quality, we deliver excellence, especially when it comes to your professional development, your career development. We're there to help you, we're there to serve you, and we're there to help you and make you grow. That's the Tampa Bay chapter. And our chapter, like I said, we run the CBAP study group. Now we have so many people that have passed through our chapter, taking the certifications, the certifications trainings. We have a couple of them that have gained their certifications from the ECBA to the CBAP and even the specialized certifications. Some of them are at the moment leading another IIBA chapter, or they even led another IIBA chapter. And some of them as well are they lead other IIBA chapters and they are actually still present. And we have a couple of them on our board, by the way. I'm sure you can spot some faces. That is to say that these people understand the quality of the education that we provide as a chapter, and they recognize that we were instrumental and helpful. So please go through our videos and all the amazing index, all the resources that we have to also guide your learning and your training. Okay. Now, a couple of events that we have at the moment. This already started, by the way. We're going through the CBAP test prep course, and this is running for 7 months. This already started in February. It started on the 19th of February, and it's going to run till September 19th of 2026. And this means that if you're interested in preparing for the CBAP certification, I think you need to join this class. It's really helpful. It's interactive. You're doing a lot of things to get you ready, to get you prepped for the certification exam. And we run 2 CBAP study groups because we also understand that we have people in different time zones. We have one of the CBAP study groups that's actually run in collaboration with Nigeria. But that's a couple of people in Nigeria. So if you need further clarification about the CBAP prep course, please reach out to Thea. She is your best resource. And we have different timings for the CBAP test prep course. You could take a snapshot of this particular page, or please reach out to Thea for clarifications. We look forward to seeing you at the session. All right. Something amazing that we have in our chapter. So last year, I believe it was last year or 2 years ago, we worked on a book titled Business Analysis: Bridging the Gap Across Industries. And this was done in collaboration with a couple of business analysts from different parts of, I would say different parts of the world. And when we finished, when the first edition was published, we knew based on feedback and all that, we knew we had to implement additional industries. We had to put in additional resources, additional knowledge to ensure that at least we bridge the gap. And what does this book entail? It's talking about different industries and how business analysis operates, or you'd see it in different industries. Now, we were able to successfully come up with the second edition, like the volume 2. Now, this is rich in the sense that it has more authors, more experts, more business analysis. I would use the word gurus. And this book is going to be available for purchase in April of 2026, which is next month. And this book this time is proudly sponsored by the IIBA Tampa Bay chapter. Go IIBA Tampa Bay. So at some point, we also plan to go through case studies that's in the course of the year as one of our professional development study sessions, and we're going to be taking some case studies from this book as well. So this is going to really, really, really be helpful. If you need to get a copy, please check it on Amazon. And for those in Africa, you can also get it in Seller. Now, Seller is not just available for those in Africa. We've had people even prefer to get it on Seller. So just pick your option. And at the moment, the IIBA Tampa Bay chapter has a collaboration with Purdue University, where we are serving as industry mentors or industry coaches to their masters in artificial intelligence and masters in data science. This partnership was brought on. It came up last year. We've had a couple of conversations and we had a lot of mentors sign up. We've had interactions with the student. The mentorship has actually kicked off it has been a great session. We have a ton of mentors that at the moment have also been given opportunities to speak at the Purdue University Fireside Chat. Bob actually kickstarted this. He had his session in February. I was also able to speak in February. Then we had Thea speak in March. We have Taiwo, also one of the mentors, speak in March. And we have a couple of people already even scheduled or slated for April. I've been getting a ton of emails based off their fireside chat. So this is an amazing collaboration that puts us in the faces of students. Some of the students have questions relating to career development, or some of them even want to switch, career switchers. Some of them don't even know what they want to do. But these students are working on real world projects, real life projects, and we get to be there to show them reality. So that's one amazing thing we're doing in the chapter. Okay. We partner with a lot of organizations, and one of our partners, we have a partnership with the Watermark Learning. So for your certification guides, we have the discount code for Watermark where you get 40% off with the code Tampa21. So if you want to get the Watermark Learning study guide for the CBAP certifications, please make use of that discount code. You're going to get 40% off. Then we also partner with Adaptive US. And Adaptive US, they are pretty bold. So they are promising that you either pass 100% or you get 100% refund. Now they are offering 20% off. If you decide to use our discount code, the IBA Tampa Bay discount code is ITBF20. That discount code gives you 20% off, and you have access to the live classes and on-demand courses. And but this excludes the IBA exam vouchers. So for further information, please also reach out to us for that. Now, like I said, we have a ton of sessions planned. Next week, we are.
No, this
Okay,
is soft ed.
soft ed. Yes, I just saw that because I'm like, I didn't see this on schedule. Okay, so like I said, we have a ton of collaborations and partnerships. Soft ed is also one of organizations that we are also affiliated with, and they're going to be having a session on the 26th of March, 2026, with hosted or that's going to be um, led by David Mantica. He's talking about the loneliness that comes with leadership. If you want to register for that event, please reach out to us, and we will get that taken care of. Then on the 26th of March, which is now our own session, internal, we're going to be having Ugochi Obialo Eko. She's going to be taking us through sustainability through the BA lens. I met Ugochi last year. She was a part of the STLC, the Tampa Bay STLC simulation. She's an amazing business analyst. She has a wealth of knowledge, especially when we're talking about sustainability. Please register for this session, and please just come ready to learn. I'm ready with your questions, by the way. Then we have another interesting session. I remember when I got the email confirmation that she was going to be available on this particular date, I was like, whoop, we got something. So we're going to be having Laura Brandenburg on the 2nd of April, taking us on from reactive to proactive, how to think and act like a business analyst. Well, I think you need to be at that BA masterclass. Laura is an amazing speaker. She is also well known in the business analysis community. She's a great resource that I think we want to hear from. So please register for that event or for that session. Then the Tampa Bay chapter. We have there are also more like a ton of events and things going on. Like I said, We have a lot, there are a whole lot of things going on. The BA Live 2026. So if you want to be a part of the BA Live 2026, please also check that website, the balive.co.uk, and it is virtual. So the early bird pricing is open to register for this event. Please check that website, and it's always easier and cheaper to register for the early bird. Next, we have the project, I think it's called the PMBA. Now, this is also one of the many things we do. And if you take a look at that picture, I want to give a quick guess. Is there anyone that can guess who the people in the picture are? Maybe if you can
No
spot.
idea.
No idea? Who can just guess? I need one person. Try. Try.
I know one
Go
of them
away.
looks like Robert.
Yep.
one of them is
got-
Robert.
Not
Yep.
sure what the other one, but one is for sure Robert.
Yes, we got that right. That's Bob. He is also really, really helpful, like I said, to our chapter. And this is also coming up. The Project Summit, BA World, is coming up in Orlando, Florida, April 27 to April 29. If you want to register for this, please go ahead. I'm sure you're going to be seeing a couple of Tampa Bay people there at that event. So that's also another way to network and meet people from the Tampa Bay chapter. All right. So if you need more training, you need an idea of what our events really entail, what kind of events we are hosting, please check our website, tampabay.iiba.org. And we would love to see you at our events. We also have our LinkedIn page. Please follow us. Please connect on LinkedIn. We are, please follow us on our LinkedIn page. We would love to connect with you, and our YouTube page. Please like, please share, subscribe. We would love to have you as a part of our community. And once again, to check our index where we have our resources, rpjudgehill.com. That's an amazing index that would really, really be helpful. Now to our presentation. Firstly, I know we got the invite. We were supposed to have a separate session for today, but we had a cancellation. Situations largely beyond our control. We apologize for that, but the IIBA Tampa Bay chapter is filled with amazing resources. So now we're going to be having our president, Thea Soehren, speak to us. And this session that Thea is going to take us through is an important session. It was also the session or this particular topic is something she also took during the Purdue Fireside Chats. So you're also hearing some of the things that the Purdue students heard, but again, you're also hearing it from a BA perspective. So go ahead, Thea. We would love to hear you speak. Thank you.
I would love to. Let me get this to work.
Okay.
This is one of those, it's technical issues. No, I don't want that one. I want this one. Well, I'd like to get my notes, so let's see if I can do that. One more time. Sorry, guys. You really want the notes instead of just me talking.
Do you want to try clicking on enter full screen mode? Let's see what it.
Here it is. Now we got it. Okay. Now I can do it.
All right.
Now I can see my notes. Okay. Welcome, everyone. This talk moves fast because AI moves fast. But everything you hear today comes down to one truth. Clarity is capability. You've seen this title. AI-ready requirements turning ambiguous problems into model-ready solutions. But this session is really about something deeper. how business analysts create the clarity that the AI systems depend on. AI doesn't fail because of the algorithms. It fails because the people weren't aligned, definitions weren't shared, workflows weren't understood, and ambiguity wasn't surfaced early. That's BA work. And that's why you're here. A little about me. I spent my career in complex, high-risk environments where clarity isn't optional. AI is no different. The same BA skills that keep nuclear power plants safe or medical diagnostics accurate are the skills that make AI trustworthy and effective. So our learning objectives. These aren't about turning you into data scientists. They're about strengthening the BA skills that make AI work in the real world: clarity, alignment, facilitation, and systems thinking. By the end of the sessions, you will understand that AI is a system, not a model, and clarity makes the system work. Business analysts create that clarity, the BA techniques to make AI succeed. So before we talk about data or modeling or accuracy, let's zoom out and take a look at the system itself, because that's where every AI project truly begins. So every AI project is based on a process, just like every process you've ever worked. There's a trigger, there's groups of steps in the middle to accomplish the goal, and then the resulting output. You're familiar with this, right? Let me show you what this looks like in real life, turning it into AI. A team automated parts of a claim process. Before automation, the average claim took 24.5 days and cost $298 to process for every single claim. Everything here should feel familiar. It's a standard workflow you've seen 100 times. There's a trigger, there's steps in the middle, and then there's a result at the end. Nothing surprising yet. And just the kind of process analysis that every BA has lived and breathed throughout their career. Now let's see what happens when AI-driven automation was introduced. At first glance, the results looked incredible, the kind of improvement any team would celebrate. You looked at these and discovered that steps 1 and 2 we could automate. Pretty good. We can't automate steps 3 yet. So the processing time was reduced by 7 days with a $95 savings per claim. On paper, this looks like a massive win. The model worked, the automation worked, and the savings were astonishing. However, something unexpected happened. Because the process became so fast and easy, the number of claims being submitted skyrocketed by nearly 800%, and the system was not ready. The model succeeded, but the system failed, and here's why. The automation accelerated the front end of the process, but no one checked if the downstream system could absorb that acceleration. Capacity wasn't ready, routing logic wasn't ready, staffing wasn't ready, and exception handling wasn't ready. AI does not fix a broken system. AI amplifies the system it's placed into. If the system is clear and aligned, AI accelerates clarity. If the system is inconsistent or overloaded, AI accelerates confusion. And that's why business analysts are essential in AI work. Clarity isn't something the model creates. Clarity must already exist in the system before the model ever arrives. This same pattern appears across industries. The model does its job, but the system around it wasn't prepared for the change. Now that we've seen how systems succeed or collapse, we need a shared vocabulary to talk about them clearly. So let's ground a few key AI terms in BA language. And I want to be clear. Again, this is not trying to turn you into data scientists. It's about giving you a language to create clarity on a cross-functional team. When you enter an AI project, you'll hear words that sound technical, but they're really just structured versions of things that BAs already manage every day. Let's ground these terms. A model is simply a pattern recognizing engine. Think of it like an intuition an experienced SME or an underwriter builds after reviewing thousands of cases. They see patterns, so does the model. The difference? A SME learns from hundreds of examples. A model can learn from millions. There's nothing magical about a model. It's just structured pattern recognition at scale. Now, these terms aren't algorithms. They're types of business questions a model can answer. Let's go to classification. Which bucket does this belong in? Fraud or not fraud? Defect or not defect? High risk or low risk? It's just structured triage, something a BA has to do constantly. Let's talk about regression. Give me a number, expected cost, time to complete, probability of churn. It's forecasting. That's what it is. That's what regression means. Clustering. Group things that look alike. Customer segments, support ticket themes. Think of it as automatic affinity mapping. And RAG, R-A-G. Look it up before you answer. The model actually looks up, it receives real policies and real procedures and real documentations, and then it looks up the other information that it needs. This only works when our definitions and our documents are clear, which is exactly why the BA shines. Now let's look at the data that the model learns from, again, in BA language. Training data is simply past examples. Just like a new BA receives past claims or defects to learn the patterns, a model does the same at scale. Labels are the correct answers. Was the claim fraudulent? Yes or no. Was the case approved? Yes or no. Did the customer churn? Yes or no. And here's the key. If a label isn't applied consistently, the model learns mixed signals, which breaks it. It's a clarity problem, not a technical problem. Features are fields. One piece of information that the model uses. Claim amount, product type, tenure. These only work whenever they're well-defined, consistently captured, and tied to real-world meaning. Ground truth is the authoritative source of the correctness. It might be a policy, a compliance decision, adjudicated claims, or coding standards. But if the team doesn't agree on ground truth, the model learns conflicting reality. And that's where AI fails. So these four elements, examples, correct answers, fields, and sources of truth, fully live in BA territory. Definitions, alignment, consistency, and meaning. That's what we do. One more page of definitions for you. Now that we know what the model learns from, let's look at what it produces. A prediction is the model's best guess. There's a 72% chance this claim is fraudulent. Not a guarantee, it's a probability. That's confidence score, how sure the model is. It's just like a SME saying, I'm 60% sure versus I'm 90% sure. Threshold, the cutoff where the business decides what actions to take. This is where BA judgment lives. Fraud scores above X, send to SIU. Confidence below Y, escalate to review. And then drift. When the world changes, but the model doesn't. You create a model for this situation, but then a regulation changes, or a policy shifts, customer behavior changes, or a new product launches. The model becomes less accurate, not because it's broken or it changed, but because reality moved on. That's when you turn to retraining. You update the model with new examples. This only happens, though, when someone notices that the business definitions or data have changed, and that someone is usually the BA. Even here, in what looks like the technical layer, the BA's role is still clarity, ensuring predictions fit in the real world that the business operates in. Let me give you a famous example of what happens when a system fails because people aren't aligned. This is the Denver Airport automated baggage system. It was famous. This project was supposed to be revolutionary, fully automated, cutting edge, no humans were needed. The pre-launch publicity was a force in itself. And here's the important part. Some of the technology worked in isolation. Individual components could run. Conveyors could move. Carts could follow tracks. Scanners could read tags. But the moment everything had to work together as a system, in front of the press, no less, it collapsed. The technology was unproven at this scale. The barcode scanners misread tags. The routing logic didn't update when flats changed. Carts collided and derailed in front of the press. And in one public demo, the system literally shredded luggage and threw contents across the floor. Why did this happen? Because the people weren't aligned, stakeholders had different expectations, requirements kept changing, airlines weren't kept on the same page. The workflow wasn't ready for automation, and no one agreed on the constraints, the dependencies, or the real-world conditions that this system had to operate within. This is exactly what we see with AI projects today. A model can work in isolation, just like those individual components, but the system fails when the ecosystem isn't ready. The model isn't the problem, The alignment is the problem. The Denver system failed because the ecosystem wasn't aligned. So let's talk about what makes data truly usable for AI in this case. When people say our data isn't ready for AI, they're not talking about technology, they're talking about clarity. Usable data is simply well-structured, well-defined, and consistently maintained information, exactly the things that BAs are already working on every day. Consistent. If one team writes pending and another team writes pinned and another leaves the field blank, the model sees 3 different answers. AI exposes inconsistency much faster than humans do, but it breaks. Complete. A model can't learn from what isn't captured. If there's missing labels, incomplete records, and blank required fields, all create blind spots. This is classic BA territory. Who enters the data? When? What is required? What happens if it's missing? That's what we do. Stable. If a field's meaning changes every quarter, the model can never learn reliable patterns. Stability of definitions is governance work and BA work. And ethical and permissible. Just because a field exists doesn't mean a model should use it. Some data introduces bias. Some violates policy or regulation. BAs are often the first to see these risks because we understand the business context and the customer impact. So when someone says our data isn't ready for AI, what they're really saying is we don't have clarity yet. And this is the point in which clarity becomes capability. Now that we understand data conditions AI depends on, let's zoom out again. This is an AI project lifecycle, the BA-focused view of how AI actually moves from idea to reality. All AI projects don't start with modeling. They start with a problem, a decision, and a workflow. That's where clarity begins, and clarity drives everything downstream. From there, the work follows a predictable sequence. Define the real problem, clarify the decision, understand the data, support modeling, test in real-world conditions, prepare the system for deployment, monitor behavior, and retrain as the business changes. On the next slides, we'll walk through how each of these lifecycle moments, and I'll show you exactly where where BAs make AI succeed. Every successful AI project begins with a clear problem, and that's where BAs add enormous value. We use problem statements to align the team on what we're actually solving. Otherwise, everyone walks in with their own interpretation, and ambiguity carries the modeling. Then we use root cause analysis to avoid automating the wrong thing. Many AI teams rush to the modeling symptoms instead of the causes. If we start with a clear, agreed-upon problem, grounded in root cause and not assumptions, the rest of the lifecycle becomes dramatically easier. And if we don't, the AI project carries the ambiguity all the way to deployment. Once we understand the problem, we move to the decision the model will support. This is one of the most expensive failure points in AI work. We use decision modeling to make decision explicit. Who makes it? When? With what information? Using what criteria? Without this, the teams build a model for a decision that isn't standardized or isn't made the same way across different groups. Then we use workflow mapping to uncover the steps, handoffs, exceptions, and constraints. Because models don't live in isolation, they live inside of workflows. BAs ensure the decision is real, shared, and well-defined before any modeling begins. Once the decision is clear, we finally look at the data that supports it. And again, this isn't technical work, it's clarity work. Glossary. We confirm shared definitions if the data means the same thing across teams. Data profiling. At the BA level, we look for missing values, inconsistent entries, and upstream process issues. This is where unclear workflows or unclear rules show up in the data. And then source to target. We trace where each field comes from, how it transforms, and whether that meaning stays intact. Are you seeing techniques here that you already use? You can use these for AI too. Modeling is where the data science work becomes visible, but clarity still is determined by whether it succeeds. During modeling, BAs confirm decisions and glossary meanings, connect the model back to the decision logic, validate features. Do they represent real-world symptoms? They review data quality to ensure models learn from consistency, not chaos. They surface constraints, regulatory, ethical, and operational, and they update the process model to reflect how the predictions fit the workflow. They maintain the RAID logs so that risk and assumptions stay visible, and they model successes when clarity carries forward from the earlier stages. BAs are the ones who carry that clarity. Once we have the candidate model, we move into testing. BAs create scenarios and use cases based on actual work, including edge cases where the model may not have been seen. We define acceptance criteria so the team agrees on what is good enough. And we run user validation sessions to bring SMEs into the loop. Do these predictions make sense? Are they usable? Do they reflect real practice? We run workflow simulations to see how the model fits into real processes. This exposes friction before launch. And throughout testing, we maintain the traceability matrix to ensure that every requirement ties back to the original problem and decision. Testing is where we prevent expensive downstream failures. Once the model is deployed, our role shifts again to monitor its real-world performance. We track the right KPIs, not just accuracy, but impact on decisions and outcomes. We observe the workflows to see how people actually interact with the prediction. Are they using it? Are they over-relying on it? Are they working around it? I've seen it happen. We run change impact analysis whenever policies, workflows, and definitions shift, because even small business changes can cause the model to drift. And we maintain RAID logs again to capture new risks and dependencies as they appear. Monitoring is where we catch problems early and where BA clarity keeps the system healthy. Once a model is deployed, our role shifts to monitoring how it performs in the real world. I think I read this wrong. Okay, let's go to the next one. And finally, retraining. Models are trained on historical patterns, but the business doesn't stay still. Policies change, customer behaviors change, even the meaning of fields can drift over time. Retraining is how we bring the model back into alignment with the current world. As BAs, our role in retraining is clarity-driven. Definition, decision logic, has the workflow changed? What is the change control? Who is the governance? What is the business validation? Retraining isn't tweaking math. It's about restoring clarity between the model and the system it lives in. This is the final truth of the lifecycle. AI is not a one-time build. It's an ongoing alignment effort, and BAs are the ones that can keep that alignment real. Now we walk through the lifecycle end to end. Let's zoom out and see and look at the deeper structure beneath it. This is what I call the three-layer framework. For the three-layer clarity framework, layer one is the business layer, and that's where every successful AI project truly begins. Here we define the real action that will change, the outcome it should create, and the value it delivers before we talk about data or modeling. BAs use techniques like process modeling, decision analysis, and stakeholder discovery to understand how the work actually happens and what better looks like. This prevents teams from optimizing for the wrong action or automating something that doesn't matter. When layer one is clear, everything downstream becomes easier. The data makes sense, the labels make sense, and the success metrics align with business reality. If we skip this layer, the project drifts and the model solves a problem that no one truly has. And before we leave this layer, we must also confirm that the project aligns with the organizational strategy, values, and current priorities, because even a well-designed model can fail if it doesn't support where the organization is going. Once the business layer is solid, we can move on into layer two, the data reality check. Layer two is the data layer. This is where we stop talking about what people think the data looks like and actually look at what exists. The key answers are what exists, what's missing, and what's usable. This is where BAs clarify what signals are really captured, whether definitions are stable and consistent, whether data reflects the real workflow, where inconsistencies or gaps appear. A field that's inconsistently entered, unlabeled, or interpreted differently across teams, it's not model ready. And if we don't surface these realities early, the team builds a model around fantasy data, something they wish existed instead of what actually existed. Layer 2 tells us what's possible right now and what must change before modeling begins. Layer 3 is the model layer. This is where most teams want to start. But starting here is like deciding to bake a cake and immediately preheating the oven before you check whether you have the ingredients, whether you have identified if the measuring cups are clean, or whether the people you're baking for can even eat cake. In other words, you've picked a temperature without confirming if you have flour and without knowing if someone has a gluten allergy. This is exactly what it looks like when AI teams start with modeling. They want to jump right into the algorithms and the accuracy before confirming the business need and the definitions of the data and the decision or the constraints the model must actually live within. At layer 3, our BA role is to define the constraints, which includes regulatory, ethical, and operational, the boundaries, where the model fits and where it does not, and success metrics, the outcomes that truly matter and not vanity accuracy. The model layer only works when layers 1 and 2 are already clear. Otherwise, we're baking the wrong cake. When this layer is clear, the model has a realistic, meaningful target, and the entire AI initiative becomes far more predictable and successful. Let's talk about the 6 clarities. The 3 layers show up in the big structure. The 6 clarities show where the AI projects most often drift. The problem, it must be clear and shared. The decision, everyone must understand the decision being supported. Data, what exists, what's missing, what's usable. Constraints, ethical, regulatory, operational boundaries. Value, the real outcome we're driving toward. The processes, the workflow the model must live inside. Even if one of these 6 is fuzzy, the project quietly drifts, and if all 6 are clear, the work moves faster, cleaner, and with far less risk. This is where BAs prevent the model succeeding and the system failing pattern from ever happening. One of the biggest clarity traps in AI is translating ambiguity. Teams agree on words, but not the meaning. Imagine 2 people using the word water, and one means I need water to survive, and the other means I'm afraid of drowning in it. It's the same word, but they have completely different realities. AI projects operate exactly this way. Different roles, pressures, incentives, and mental models shape what people mean, even when they use the identical vocabulary. If we don't surface those differences early, the entire AI project drifts quietly in different directions. Let me show you how that plays out in a real organization. Here's a real example. A financial services friend came to me and they said they built a model to automate for approvals. Everything looked perfect. The model worked, the data was clean, and the accuracy scores were high. But at the moment it entered the real system, everything broke because they hadn't checked. Compliance wasn't aligned. Operation wasn't aligned. The workflow wasn't aligned. Governance guardrails weren't aligned. Nothing was wrong with the model. Everything was wrong with how it fit into the system around it. This is exactly why AI fails in the real world. Let's break down why the system collapsed, even though the model worked. With regulations not being considered, there was a bias risk. There was no audit trail, no human in the loop, and workflow wasn't ready. These aren't data science problems, guys. These are clarity problems, and they're exactly the kind of problems BAs are trained to see. And this leads us to one of the most important truths in AI work. AI is never just a model. AI is a system. It doesn't live in isolation. It lives inside workflows, policies, constraints, decisions, definitions, capacity limits, handoffs, and people. You can have perfect accuracy, perfect data, and perfect modeling, but if even one of the surrounding system is misaligned, AI will fail at the math. AI fails at the seams where people and processes and technology meet, and this is exactly why business analysts are essential to AI work. We reveal those seams, we surface those assumptions, and we align the people and the processes long before the model ever touches production. AI succeeds when the system is clear, and BAs are the ones who create that clarity. So even with the best intentions, AI projects begin with hidden misalignment. Teams walk in assuming they all share the same understanding of the problem, the workflow, the risk, and success criteria. But whenever we bring in that, are they using the word the same way? We find out that they're not aligned. Alignment is not a nice to have, it's structural, it's infrastructural. This slide is about naming the problem clearly. Misalignment exists and it's everywhere. One of the fastest ways to service misalignment is what we call the red flag round. Right after we establish psychological safety in the team, we invite everyone, regardless of level or role, to name the risks, doubts, edge cases, concerns, and dependencies, because most AI failures are not surprises. Someone saw that problem early, they just didn't feel safe to say it. The red flag round creates a moment where speaking up isn't punished, it's expected, it's encouraged. This tool surfaces the issues that could break the system long before the model ever reaches production. And for the fastest way to service misalignment early is to invite people to name the risk before they grow. Everyone thinks that they're aligned. They walk in believing that, but the belief is almost always wrong. They're confident they share the same assumptions, the same priorities, and the same meaning behind their work. But whenever they start asking deeper questions about definitions and decision logic and constraints and value or workflow realities, we find major differences hiding underneath the surface. This isn't malice. It's false confidence. Everyone thinks they're synchronized until the first clarifying question, mostly asked by a business analyst, reveals the gap. And that gap, that false alignment, is one of the biggest risks. Let me show you how dangerous they can be with just one word. This is a real example of how a single word derailed an entire AI project. 5 different teams used the word defect. They were working on fixing and tracking defects, but the teams each had different meanings. One meant functional failure, cosmetic flow, another one meant a regulatory violation, another one meant customer complaint, and the 5th one meant an operational exception. The model wasn't wrong. It was doing exactly what we had taught it. They had taught it. There were 5 conflicting realities. This case shows how quickly misalignment can turn into noise and how noise becomes model confusion. So we need a way to lock in the meaning before modeling ever begins. We call this the definition drill. Definition drill is one of the fastest tools eliminating hidden ambiguity. We take keywords driving the project, risk, priority, quality, fraud, value, exception, approve, whatever they are, and ask each group to individually define them in their own words. The differences are almost always surprising. Instead of pretending those words don't exist or those problems don't exist, we surface them. We align on one shared definition we're going to use for this project and lock in on that meaning in the glossary and in the workflow. AI fails when meanings drift, and the definition drills ensure that meanings hold still. Once meaning is aligned, the next step is aligning the workflow, not the imagined workflow, but the real one. Most teams have never mapped the real workflow that they use every day. They rely on tribal knowledge, optimistic documentation, or outdated process maps. The workflow walkthrough uncovers hidden steps, informal workarounds, judgment calls, exceptions, bottlenecks, and cowboys that I just do it my way. These details matter because AI amplifies whatever's really happening, not what's printed in a process document. And this walkthrough also reveals misalignments across teams who believe they all follow the same process, but they don't really. BAs surface these discrepancies without blame and convert them into clarity. And when you look at all this, one truth becomes obvious. The technical work is the easy part. The real work, the hard part, is the clarity, communication, and alignment. AI is 20% modeling and 80% everything around it. The workflows, definition, decisions, people, constraints, and system. This is why AI work isn't peripheral, it's foundational. Models don't create alignment, people do. And that's why clarity is capacity. Now let's talk about how clarity prevents downstream failures long before they appear. I want to introduce one of the most important patterns of AI work and something that every BA should recognize early. In AI projects, failures rarely show up where the work begins. They show up downstream, in operations, in workflows, in customer impact, or compliance issues. in unexpected volume shifts. But here's the truth. Downstream failure almost never starts downstream. It starts upstream with missing clarity. Before the model was trained, before the data was prepared, before the workflows were designed for automation. What looks like a late problem is almost always an early alignment problem that no one surfaced, no one noticed. And this is where a BA makes a critical difference by catching the clarity gaps upstream so the systems don't break down downstream. Today, we've talked about how AI amplifies whatever system it lives in. Now we're going to talk about how we keep that system healthy long before the model ever touches production. There are early warning signals that can tell you if a project isn't ready for modeling. There might not be a decision owner. There's no success criteria. There's missing labels, conflicting KPIs, ethical blind spots, and the most dangerous phrase in AI work, we'll fix that later. If you see even one of these, the project isn't model ready. There are clarity gaps, not technical gaps, and every one of those becomes exponentially more expensive the later it's discovered. And that brings us to one of my favorite principles in AI work: simple, memorable, and incredibly true. Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. When we slow down early to align definitions, clarify decisions, map workflows, confirm data, and we move faster. When we rush early, everything becomes expensive and chaotic and political and reactive later. AI rewards teams who invest in clarity at the beginning. And there's a classic quality principle that makes this painfully clear. It's the 1-10-100 rule. It illustrates the compounding cost of unclear requirements. If fixing clarity issues early costs $1, fixing it during development is going to cost you 10 times as much. Fixing it during production will cost you 10 times that much. In AI work, that $100 cost often means relabeling data, rebuilding features, retraining models, redesigning workflows, remediating compliance issues, or pulling a system out of production. The fastest AI projects are the ones that invest in clarity early. And all of this leads to one truth that sits at the heart of today's lesson. Before we close today, I want to share a quick set of bonus lessons for those of you who are actively planning or testing AI systems. When you bring AI into the workflow, it effectively becomes a member of the team, but with just one very different communication style. Just like we adjust how we communicate with new teammates, we have to adjust how we communicate with AI. Unlike people, AI doesn't infer meaning. It fills in missing context or makes safe. It doesn't fill in missing context, and it doesn't make assumptions. So the way we phrase instructions, questions, and requirements matters far more than we might expect. Let me give you 5 quick tips a BA can use to help AI behave reliably and predictably. Tip number 1, be explicit, not implicit. Humans naturally fill in gaps. We assume shared context. A does not. If details matter, state it. If conditions apply, spell it out. Missing information isn't unknown to an AI system. It's literally not there. Clear input produces clear output. Tip 2, use atomic statements. One idea per line, one rule per sentence. AI struggles with embedded lists, double negatives, or multi-part sentences. Instead of saying, we can't do X in states A, B, or C, you'll get a much more reliable result by writing X is not allowed in state A, X is not allowed in state B, X is not allowed in state C. Atomic clarity prevents downstream confusion. Tip 3, define acronyms and domain-specific terms every time. Humans learn vocabulary once. AI only knows what it sees in the current context. If you say the letters RHG and you don't define it, AI may hallucinate something that sounds plausible, but is completely wrong. Same with industry knowledge, like for instance, in insurance. If you write or bind or approve or underwrite, AI doesn't actually understand those distinctions. We have to teach them explicitly. Use examples and include both this is what we mean and this is what we do not mean. Examples are one of the strongest tools we have when communicating with AI. If you want nuance, pattern, or interpretation examples if you want, nuanced patterns or interpretation examples outperform explanations every time. The clearer the pattern, the better the AI platforms. And finally, break workflows into steps. If you're using AI for workflow support, validation, or decisioning, don't give it a paragraph, give it a sentence. AI performs dramatically better when you describe work exactly how a BA would. Step, decision, exception. Structure helps AI make sense of a system it lives in. And when a workflow is clear, AI becomes much easier to trust. So those are your 5 bonus tips for communicating with AI in a way that it understands information. Everything you've learned today points to one truth. AI succeeds when people create clarity. Clarity is not a side activity. It's not documentation, and it's not optional. Clarity is what makes AI effective, trustworthy, valuable. And clarity is created by people like BAs, not models. Which brings us to your role in the future of BA. In AI. You're not here to build models. You're here to build clarity. It's the kind of clarity that aligns teams, stabilizes data, defines decisions, grounds constraints, prevents drifts, prevents failure, and guides AI into real-world responsibility. Models don't create alignment, people do. And the world needs people that can bring clarity into complexity. So let's hear your questions about your work and your progress. What do you have? I am so glad to get to see you guys today. What questions do we have? Any comments? Anybody using AI
I don't
already?
have any questions, Thea, but I just, Thea, can
Yes,
you hear me?
Michelle. Yes, I can.
I was just saying that I have not tipped a toe in AI yet. It's something that is impeding in our organization, that it's highly encouraged, use AI. I've just been so cautious because, like you stated at the very beginning, AI is everywhere. You don't know what's real anymore or what's true when you look on, social media. And so I think that, this has definitely helped me kind of identify how I can use it, how it should be used, to really generate the results that, you're wanting, to help help your project succeed when you're gathering those requirements. So this gives me hope that I can use it, and I can use it effectively and efficiently with just these tips. And it's definitely something I want to pass on to my team at work.
Wonderful. And you'll be attending the CBAP training later. I'm going to show you how to create your own test bank using Copilot.
Ooh, I'm excited.
It's going to be great. Navia, you have a question.
It's more of an observation. A lot of this, a lot of what your talking points were really reminded me of the previous event we had with Ashley So at the Velocity of Value. And I thought both of you really captured the moment of like, fix it now and don't because it costs too much to fix it later. And I really value that kind of thinking of like precaution and how by fixing the AI issues now and having clarity, it'll actually gain, going slower and kind of improving currently instead of doing it later actually is a better outcome overall. And I just was really, I found your presentation very similar to hers, and I thought that was really interesting. So I wanted to say something. So yeah.
It is. And
Yeah.
I want you to know that one of the things I was trying to do with this presentation is show you, as experienced BAs, what you're doing now is what you'll do with AI. People keep talking about, oh, BAs won't have a job anymore. They're still going to need clarity. They'll still need the systems to work together. They're still going to need the analysis that AI doesn't have access to yet. So yeah, you've got a lot
Yeah.
of analysis that you need to do at the beginning, and be brave enough to raise your voice to say, I have a concern, or I'd like to get more information, or whenever you say that word, what do you mean? Thank you for your comment. Anything else? Okay, Esther, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much, Thea. I just want to ask, I know we are way past time, but let me ask, did you all have a great time tonight?
Yeah, it was nice hearing Thea be the presenter for once. It was nice to, and I think you did a great job too, Esther.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. That is just the tip of the iceberg. Like we know of what we do in the IIBA Tampa Bay chapter. I'm still waiting for a couple of people that are interested in becoming speakers and they know themselves. But I also want to put this out to you. If you want to speak at one of our weekly sessions, please and please, please reach out to me and we would make that happen. Everybody has something to share. We want to learn from you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was amazing, Kosi. All right, good night, everyone.
Thank you. Bye, guys. See you next week.
Thank you.